Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back. Now, reposing confidence is key to building a resilient and robust financial sector in Ghana. That's according to the second Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, Madam Elsie Awachi, sharing her thoughts at the opening of the first Bloomberg Financial Journalism Training in Accra. Madam Awachi noted financial journalists need to enhance their skills and build the capacity to be able to report accurately.
Media practitioners are called upon to employ high professional standards to determine what, when, and how to publish, especially in the realm of economic and financial matters. This is necessary to promote and not undermine confidence in the financial system and the economy as a whole. Unfortunately, we have sometimes witnessed the opposite, at least in Ghana, especially during the last 18 months when we have undertaken extensive reforms with a view to making the financial sector more resilient. Ladies and gentlemen, in recognition of the critical need for increased professionalism in financial journalism, the Bank of Ghana continues to work closely with the media to help disseminate accurate and timely reports while supporting a lot of capacity building efforts, both domestically and internationally. It is in this vein that we wholeheartedly support the Bloomberg Africa Media Initiative and its African journalism, financial journalism training program. We are particularly delighted that the program is now available in Ghana after its successes in South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya over the last 3 years. On behalf of the Bank of Ghana, I congratulate Bloomberg and all its partners, the Strathmore Business School, the University of Ghana Business School, by the way, of which I'm a very proud alumnus, having graduated from the MBA class of 2000, 19 years ago, and the Ghana Institute of Journalism for the launch of the Ghana program.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Information, Kojo Nkrumah, who opened the program, disclosed reporting business and financial issues appropriately is very relevant for national development.
African economies, of which the Ghanaian economy is a key part, are becoming increasingly complex. Consumers of economic news and analysis in Africa and the rest of the world are also increasingly becoming sophisticated. Unfortunately, Africa, as we have observed, has not been at the forefront of shaping the global narrative about Africa. And if this continues, then the many opportunities, the growth potential, the real issues, the gains being made may not be well articulated within the complexities of the modern news world. It is thus crucial that the African Business Press Corps continuously builds its capacities to enable it comprehensively and exhaustively shape the African economic narrative to the satisfaction of all stakeholders here and the world over. It is my understanding that this 6-month certificate program, funded by Bloomberg Philanthropies, with additional support from the Ford Foundation, will offer the Ghanaian and African journalists here and mid-career professionals in business, government, and civil society the opportunity to strengthen their skills in capital markets and data analysis and enhance their knowledge in public policy and financial and economic reporting. We are excited about this initiative, and we believe that the platform will enhance the capacity of beneficial delegates in analyzing government fiscal and economic policies, and in turn, educating the Ghanaian and African populace and the global populace with accurate reporting that will benefit our nation. With the right information, the citizenry and other stakeholders will be better prepared for active citizenship.
The marketplace streaming live on Facebook. Now, PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, could start paying the severance packages for the defunct workers of UT and Capital Banks before close of this month. Joy Business is learning that representatives of the workers, that is the Union of Industry, Commercial and Finance Workers, UNICOF, are to meet the joint receivers for the payment plan. In another development, government has been criticized for lack of fairness in its selection of banks for a bailout after they failed to raise the new 400 million Ghana cedi capital requirement. According to banking consultant Richmond Etuahene, at least one of the 5 banks selected does not meet the criteria set by President Akufo-Addo to rescue local banks.
The Ministry of Finance announced a special purpose fund, Ghana Amalgamated Trust, to save some indigenous struggling banks that failed to meet the new minimum capital requirement before the 31st December deadline. 5 banks have been earmarked for a bailout through the newly established Ghana Amalgamated Trust, which will disburse the top-ups using pension funds. Banking and corporate governance consultant Richard Etuahene questions the selection of the National Investment Bank (NIB) among the 5 when it has failed to publish its financial report for more than 2 years.
Even appointed advisor, and if you look at the law, once you appoint an advisor, it means there is something in there that had to be looked by an independent advisor. Meanwhile, that bank is part of it. That's what I'm saying, that the word the president used the other time, I find it quite a bit contradictory, because a bank like one bank has not published its account for the last 3 years. 3 years. Like we've all said today, we all sat here, the regulator sits there. This one has been going for the last 3 years. Because it's a state bank, is it fair to others? That is where I have my challenge. Because if we want to do a bailout, they don't want even to borrow the word bailout. I don't know where they come from.
He is also skeptical about the sustainability of pension funds being used for the creation of the Ghana Amalgamated Trust.
The GAT, the Ghana, I have done a work on it since they came up, research into it. If you look at it, I've even gone to the Attorney General to find who registered it. To find out that, is it a private sector? And my only concern also is that we're talking about pension. Pension is an emerging industry. They don't have the muscle to stand. If you bail out one of these state banks, which I have told you already, in the next 5 years, the exit strategy does not come, what happened to the pension fund? That is going to be underwritten by the Minister of Finance, and that will be part of the debt. So you're only postponing what you should have done today to tomorrow. But at the end of it all, it will have an impact on the bailout strategy.
Dr. Etuahene disagrees with some industry players shying away from describing the support as a bailout.
The payment of severance packages for UT and Capital Bank workers would be tied to some conditions. This is what we are learning from the firm charged with supervising the payment of these packages, PricewaterhouseCoopers. It follows the decision by Bank of Ghana to waive its right of being the first beneficiary of monies recovered so far from the sale of UT and Capital Bank assets. Some of the conditions include signing up to some legal documents before the required payments can be made. More than 1,000 workers are expected to benefit from this package. So what do the workers, make of this? Raymond Ade-Dankwa speaks for the workers.
For us workers of UT and Capital Bank, it was a good feeling for us because it's been far too long. You know, about 70% currently sitting at home without any source of income. So for us, it was a good news for us.
If you say good news, so what will this also impact on your fortunes? Because I knew some of you were talking about struggling to make a living and all the rest, and finally this thing is in place.
As it stands now, what it then means is that some will get something doing with it. Even though 90% of us workers of Capital Bank will still be indebted to PwC.
I will come in there because what is this whole thing about some agreement that you need to sign to agree before the payment will be advanced to you? Okay, so we're supposed to sign deed of subrogation to the receiver. What it then means is because they are interchanging their position, and then they are also paying us based on humanitarian grounds, so we're supposed to sign that deed so that in future, after realization of more monies, what it then means, it will be given to them because we are number 5th on the position, and it's not yet our turn. So we are just interchanging our position with them. With the kind of agreement that you have right now, how many workers are supposed to benefit from whatever that they've realized? Is it just a fraction of the workers or all the workers?
All the workers.
And what's the number right now?
1,002 plus. One
would ask that, are you okay with the arrangement that has been put in place in terms of this payment?
Yes, we are. You know, per the directive, second publication is supposed to come out this week, hopefully tomorrow. Once that is done, then we'll follow up with the signing of the deed, and then payment takes effect from that
So would it be issuing of checks or maybe go to your banks or go to PwC?
They'll be paying through GCB. You know, when they took over, we all have accounts over them. So I'm sure they will do upload or direct credits into account.
Let's now turn attention to some energy stories. The Public Utility and Regulatory Commission, PURC, is allaying fears utility tariffs might go up even though utility producers make a strong case for an increased tariff. At a public forum in Kumasi, the utility producers pointed out inflation and foreign exchange challenges make it difficult to acquire equipment needed to deliver satisfactory service to consumers. Chairman of the Technical Committee of PURC, Ishmael Jukumhine, spoke during one of several consultations in Kumasi, where Prince Appiah has come through with this report.
The meeting in Kumasi saw the various utility providers meet with utility consumers, key stakeholders across Ashanti region and regulators. The forum was part of a consultation for the 2019 tariff review for electricity and water. A major challenge across all the utility producers is consumer indebtedness in bills. All the utility providers made a case for the tariff to be increased. Cynthia Afole Aka is Chief Commercial Manager for Ghana Water Company.
Yeah, the cost of our operations, as I mentioned, the operation and maintenance, the depreciation, I showed it. The cost of capital, I showed all those things. So from the last tariff review till now, interest rates have changed, capital is more expensive, and we needed a lot more to really upscale our operations.
Some of the utility providers are calling for as much as 100% increments, but officials of the Public Utility and Regulatory Commission, PURC, would have to assess the factors involved first. Ishmael Jukumhine is the chairman of the Technical Committee at PURC.
Even in 2018, where tariffs were reduced for the first time, they were asking for increases. But when we look at the numbers and we also looked at some of the things that needed to go into the determination of the tariffs, we thought that something could be done about the tariffs. Listen, there are certain categories of consumers, like the hotels people, the hoteliers told us, they were going to fold up because, you see, the non-residential tariffs, which is where they fall in, is so high. So even industry, they're saying that most of these industries are even moving away from the grid, and they are using their own generators that they bought during the Doomsday era, because the moment you go beyond 600 megawatts, it's so high. So for economic development and for so many other reasons, that's how come the tariffs came down. I mean, 1 year or 9 months down the line, we're going to look at the numbers again, but they always present their figures suggesting that tariffs will have to go up by a certain quantum.
Mr. Jukumhine, however, allays fears the tariffs will automatically go up.
How we use 4.43 to determine the March 2018 tariff. So if not for anything, when you are correcting for the currency depreciation, something could go up. But if, for example, the power that is coming from hydro should go up more than the thermal, then tariffs might not necessarily have to go up, even though the currency has depreciated. So we take so many other things into consideration. But
the consumer consultation for the 2019 tariff review for electricity and water will continue across the rest of the country. Prince Appiah reporting.
In other news, the new owners of ECG Power Distribution Service have nominated Reverend William Hatton Mensah as chief executive for the firm. Sources say he is expected to take over from the current MD, Engineer Samuel Boakye Appiah, when the new owners formally take over the company from February 1. Reverend Hatton Mensah has over 20 years of experience in senior management positions at the Energy Ministry and the Electricity Company of Ghana. He also has over 30 years of experience in electrical engineering in the energy sector in Ghana. Reverend Hatton Mensah was in 2014 reassigned to the Energy Ministry by former President John Mahama after serving as MD for ECG for 2 years. Now, moving on, international oil exploration firm Aker Energy says the total estimated volumes of oil to be included in its plan of development for the Pecan field could increase to 1 billion barrels. That is, if further drilling campaigns prove successful. The operator of the deepwater tunnel Cape 3 Point recently concluded its first appraisal of its oil field. There's more in this report.
Chief Executive Officer of Aker Energy, Jan Harvey Hogan, says they were pleased to announce the well results and would optimize the plan of development for the Pecan field. He said there was still a lot of work to be done, including to conclude the phasing of the development, the size of the first phase, and the detailing of the concept. The important priority going forward is to deliver a robust field development plan for Ghanaian authorities. Based on the existing subsurface data, the existing discoveries are estimated to contain 450 to 550 million barrels of oil equivalent. Aker Energy estimates that with the next 2 appraisal wells to be drilled, the total volumes to be included in the plan of development have the potential to increase to 1 billion barrels of oil. In addition, they are identified multiple well targets to be drilled as part of the greater area development after submission of the plan of development. Aker Energy says it sees great potential in this promising area offshore Ghana. Mr. Hogan said Aker was looking forward to continuing and further strengthening partnership with the Ghanaian oil and gas industry.
Let's stay a little longer on this development because the minority in Parliament says it is dismayed by the Energy Minister John Peter Mewu's assertions that the country has made another significant oil discovery in the deepwater Cape 3 Points block. According to the minority, the total area has already been discovered by U.S. company Hess Corporation, which sold its stake to Aker. Joining me in the studio for some clarity on what exactly Aker Energy's report means is the CEO of Ghana Oil Drilling Academy and Consultancy, Prince Frimpong. Prince, you're welcome to the marketplace.
Thank you.
Well, so Prince is also, or has also had a tremendous experience in the the Norwegian National Oil Company. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. All right. So what exactly do we mean when we appraise a well and we discover significant, reserves in the well?
Thank you very much for your question. To appraise a well means to drill into an already existing discovery to further understand the extent in terms of volume of the discovery. That's an appraisal. So you drill an appraisal to have a further understanding of an already discovered reserve.
And so in this case, the discovery had already been made. It's not a new discovery in the case of
Potentially, yes.
Then, so what would happen, or what would cause a company to do another appraisal? Because in the first instance, Hess Corporation had done its appraisal, for which we were told it discovered about 200 million barrels. Now, Aker went in there and discovered about between 500 and 600 million barrels of oil. What is going on here?
Well, it depends on many factors. It could be technology. Note that technology in this field is very fast advancing, and Norwegians are known to be very prominent in this specific area, especially offshore deep sea drilling. The initial discovery was made a few years ago. Perhaps it could be an advanced technology that Aker has employed to be able to give us these new volumes. Also remember, you're dependent on inputs for specific output. So perhaps it's the modeling, interpretation of the modeling that Aker used that has given us these new results.
All right, so does it mean if a company takes over another company, in this case, Aker taking over Hess, it requires the company to do further appraisal, even though the appraisal has been done in the past?
It's often done because when you buy something, you really want to really understand what is in there. Yes. So that's what appraisal is for. You drill to further understand the extent of the reservoir.
Now, for the benefit of those of us who are not so much in tune with these technicalities, can you outline the value chain of the oil and gas production, sector?
Okay, thank you for that. Well, first of all, you acquire a block. We all know what's involved in block acquisition. You interact with government to acquire a block. And after a block acquisition, you do an exploration. Exploration involves various steps. You may be lucky to have existing seismic data. It could be 2D, 3D. And the only way to be certain of oil is to drill. So initially you drill what we call an exploratory well, and that will enable you to make a find or discovered oil. Now, once it's discovered, now you need to appraise the well to further understand in terms of quantity, viability, commerciality, etc. So once you've concluded on that, then you come with your plan of development, often in collaboration with the authorities.
What does it entail, plan of development?
Plan of development entails putting up the platform for production. Yeah, it involves a lot of subsea installations, the platform itself, getting up the oil from the reservoir to the surface, and also transportation. In some cases, it could even involve the refining. So your plan of development gives the details of how you intend to bring this to the surface and eventually for production.
So eventually you produce after the plan of development?
Yes.
When does decommissioning come in? What is decommissioning? Well,
decommissioning is after you're done with your production. The life cycle of a reservoir often varies between 20, 25, maximum 30 years. After 30 years, you've had so much oil that your yields may not compensate the effort you put in. So then you want to decommission, you want to pull off. And that is where you employ appropriate technology to seal the well so that you don't encounter spillages, etc.
Interesting development, interesting education here. So I believe you would want to be on the side of the minority which says it has no, or government has not discovered or made any new discovery, but existing discovery being appraised.
Well, it's an interpretation issue. When you discover something and you really don't understand what is there, you need to do an appraisal. An appraisal had to be done, and that's what was done.
All right, so very soon we'll call you again to know more about these technicalities of the oil and gas industry, but that's how we end the interview here. Prince Frimpong is the CEO of the Ghana Oil Drilling Academy and Consultancy. And on that note, we draw the curtains down on this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. Many thanks for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. We are free. Let's meet again, same time tomorrow.